fascinating story here coming out of the House of Representatives. So, House Minority Leader, who is currently, on track to be Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, he is warning Republicans, saying Democrats could pick Speaker if Republicans, quote, play games on the House floor. This House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy warned the skeptics in the House Republican Conference against opposing him for Speaker on the House floor. Quote, "We have to speak as one voice. We will only be successful if we work together, or we'll lose individually. This is very fragile, that we are the only stopgap for this Biden administration," McCarthy said on Newsmax Monday. "And if we don't do this right, the Democrats can take the majority. If we play games on the floor, the Democrats can end up picking who the Speaker is," McCarthy said. And so it's interesting that he said it on Newsmax Monday. So clearly he's trying to extend an olive branch to those more crazy loonies that are the people who are going to prevent him from getting his speakership in the first place by going on Newsmax, a more fringe news website. It says, his first step towards speakership was done when he won 188 to 34 House GOP's nomination. But it says, but in order to secure the speakership, he needs to win majority support on the House floor on the first day of the new Congress on January 3rd. And with Republicans winning a narrower than anticipated majority of around 222 seats to around 213 of Democrats, McCarthy can only afford to lose a handful of Republican votes on the floor. So if you guys don't know what the Freedom Caucus is, the Freedom Caucus is basically like the extremist, very libertarian wing of the House. There's usually like 30, anywhere from like 25 to 40 members, but although it's more like 30 plus, and they're hard line. They were responsible for a lot of just the stopping of like government under Obama, just refusing to, even like fund like statutorily approved funding. Super hardliners that even like the establishment Republicans get pissed off with. And so there's more than enough of those people to tank this speakership easily, because the Freedom Caucus as it stands is like 30, 40 people, maybe even more. So it says all Democrats are expected to vote for their party speaker nominee, expected to be finalized by Representative Hakeem Jeffries. By the way, Hakeem Jeffries is fucking horrible. He's so anti. I can't even think of a high-ranking Democrat who's like as openly against progressives as Hakeem Jeffries. So this is like absolutely disastrous. Like he's worse than Nancy Pelosi is in that realm. So at least 5 House Republicans from the hardline conservative wing have publicly said or strongly indicated that they will not vote for McCarthy on the floor, throwing his speakership bid into dangerous territory. So I guess he can only afford like 9 votes, if I'm not mistaken here, or like 8 votes. Those members, Bob Good, Ralph Norman, Matt Rosendale, Matt Gaetz, and Biggs. Several others have expressed skepticism of McCarthy, but have not said how they will vote on January 3rd. Biggs said on the, quote, Conservative Review podcast on Monday that he thinks the number of hard no's on McCarthy is around 20 GOP members, which would sink McCarthy's bid. 20 would be like double enough to do it, but that's crazy. They think that there's around 20 GOP members, which would be enough to sink it. It also says that I guess that Marjorie Taylor Greene is now broken with the Freedom Caucus to say no, we need to elect McCarthy, which is pretty interesting, actually. Says McCarthy also alluded to other factions of the party and the possibility of moderates breaking away. Moderates can also break, by the way, so moderates will not really fucks with him and want someone more moderate than McCarthy, and then the loonies will want someone who's more loony, and so he's getting fucked on both sides. Basically, he's just getting absolutely screwed through both holes, pretty much. It says those opposed to McCarthy cite various issues, such as his not committing to pass a budget that slashes spending, his resistance to Freedom Caucus rules change requests that would give more power to rank-and-file members, his unwillingness to commit to impeaching Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. And so, I think a lot of them want to even make more rule changes that would take longer on the floor, that makes it easier to filibuster stuff in the House by just making these required roll call votes and roll call stuff like that, attendance and things like that, to just take up lots of time. And then I'm also sure that the Freedom Caucus members want to get more power away from the Republican establishment and more towards themselves. And then obviously they're very hard line on spending, so much so that even the establishment Republicans are like, dude, shut the fuck up kind of thing. But super, super interesting. He says, I think at the end of the day, calmer heads will prevail. We'll work together to find the best path forward, McCarthy said. And the big piece of information on this is you just need a majority of votes that are for a person. So I guess present votes are not voting for anybody. And so let's say there's 10 presents, whoever gets more votes for a candidate wins. And so that's what is really interesting and just super fascinating. So definitely keep an eye on this situation, man. Pretty crazy.